my goal has been, my burden has been young males.
Mhm.
And so I would really like to know how we deal with them going forward, because so many of them are leaving here or being taken out of the system. And that's been kind of a burden of mine from way back. And as a political, how would you approach that problem? It's a monumental problem, I think.
For me, I'm gonna go back to 2018, 2014, 2018. I worked at the Rec Center, which is a program for 18 to 25-year-olds who are involved with probation or the legal system, some way, shape, or form, right? I always approach the guys or girls like human beings, but also like my kids. So I would have real life conversations with them, motivate them, give them knowledge, not sugarcoat anything, but give them options that were available to them so that they can pick what they're gonna do. With what's going on right now in our community, it's due to the lack of adult role models, investment. There are people, especially in elected positions, officials, leadership, that are not investing in our youth. And that's not fair. I have had conversations with our youth that people would say are affiliated with this side of town or this group of people. Not everybody that's in the streets wants to be in the streets.
I agree with that.
And it's more of that they don't have options. They don't have people that are actually supporting them, telling them that you can go to school, you can do better. I had a young man that actually was in the streets because his family seen him as the breadwinner. So his hustle was supporting the whole entire household. And they didn't want him to get out of the hustle because bills were being paid. They had a roof over their head, they had food coming in, they had money, right? But outside of the street hustle, he had a mind for business. He loved cars. He loved purchasing cars, fixing cars, and then flipping cars. So what did I do? I'm an outside the box thinker. I actually started like kind of a mentoringship while I was at my job, and I connected with one of the local Divine Nine fraternities. One of the brothers had a connection with a car dealership. We connected the youth to someone at the car dealership. I spoke to his probation officer, we had a great relationship, and he trusted my recommendations and opinions enough to allow the child to actually, the youth, to actually leave the state because the car dealership was in New York. So it goes back to the investment piece. We have to start investing in our youth and showing them that we care. And then the second thing is that you can't make promises you can't keep. So if you're gonna tell somebody that you're gonna do something or that you're for them, now you gotta show them. And you gotta be consistent with it. And that's the other piece. You have people that come into our youth's lives that are getting paid. So they're there for the paycheck and not for the youth. I need volunteers, I need men. Because I can find an abundance of women to invest in our youth, but our youth are also coming from homes where there's mostly women, right? But we need men to step up and be a part of the solution. Instead of us as adults, us as leaders, us as officials, always judging. And also we need to open a space where they can have conversations.
Well, an observation on my part, when they say we need men, and my question is, where are the men?
That's a good question. But this is the thing, you also have a bunch of men that are here in this community that said they're for the youth. So now we have to hold them accountable and actually put your mouth with your actions.
Well, going back about 12 years ago, or actually more than that now, I was dealing through child guidance the mentoring piece.
Mhm.
So I, several youth have come through and they love working with their hands and, and there's some good stories there. But because I've always had that burden, I've always, in my limited role, reached out to help. And so when you said you were running, and technically I saw that as an opportunity. I don't know how or why, but I mean, that's how I was looking at it. So when you said you have this meeting, that's why I made sure I was here, because I'm interested. That's my interest. I'm not sure which direction to move out in, but I mean, that's my interest. But that's been a burden of mine for years, because I've lived here since '62, and I've seen a lot, and it's grievous. It's grievous when you think about, because I study scripture and history. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. They killed the boy and let the girl live. I mean, that's what's happened. They just changed the menu, the way they do it. But that's what's happening, in my opinion. And how do you communicate with youth to the point where it resurrects them? But I think you just touched on before, the options piece. It's one way to accomplish that, giving them options.
And also, just to let you know, I have created a collaborative in Bridgeport. So it is called the Bridgeport Community Collaborative for Youth and Family. And under that collaborative, I've been able to associate different men who are invested in our youth. And the main criteria is that it doesn't come with a paycheck, and you have to be committed. So any gentleman that has come through this particular mentoring piece already knows that this is about the youth and not about money, and that there's a commitment to go with it. So anytime I do anything that has to do with our youth, I make sure that the people that I bring to the table are committed and will actually be there through the long run, or we don't even move forward, because it's not fair to them.
So my question to you then, what motivates you to want to accomplish? I mean, what is your motivation? Because I'm an analytical type of person. When I look at the overall picture, I equate it this way. It's like I prepared to build a house, okay? And I've already made plans to build a house, but I forgot the foundation. And so the foundation is, just the foundation, but my focus is on the house. And this is how I equate the whole thing with society today. We're focusing on the house and forgot the foundation. And I'll just share this with you, because it's heavy on my heart. Rudy, that I really don't care for, Rudy, he asked a question to our community. He said, you are killing 98% of each other, but the focus is on the 2% that someone else. And the response was, the 98% is too expensive to fix. I mean, that hurt the core, because, and so I don't know all the details, but I kind of see you trying to hit that 98%. It seems like it. So how do you, it's a mountain. I mean, it's a major uphill battle, because in reality, I was just listening. I don't even pay attention to news anymore, but I was just listening in Chicago, where, hundreds of people are being killed on a regular basis. It's like they're at war. And so there's a fellow that collected coins, and he had this big $5 water jugs, and at the end of his career, working 25 years, he had about 30 of them filled with pennies. And so each day I pick up the paper, and one or two, 3, 4. You see what happens in a period of time. So how do we challenge that in a major way to make I guess one person at a time? I think that's what you were hinting on before.
So to get to the question of what motivates me, I'm born and raised in Bridgeport.
Okay.
I grew up in Pequannock, Marina, the different sides of town. Not only that, I came from a village, so my family was always a part of my upbringing. In addition, we had resources. I'm 42.
Okay.
So 3 decades ago,
Oh.
right? 30 years ago, we had an abundance of resources than we do now. And the thing about it is, I'm a parent. When I chose to be a mother, I chose that my daughter will have the best than what I had. And my investment in my community is also my investment in my child. And because I'm the type of mother that I am, I want every child to have the same opportunities as my daughter. Because I know that I can go out and I can find things because I'm a resourceful person, right? But there's other people in this community that may not have the resources or the knowledge or even the idea of some of the things that's going on. By me actually running for the Board of Education in 2019, I got to see the political side of Bridgeport from the inside, right? Sitting at the tables with, God bless his soul, Senator Gomes, and having those conversations about what happened back in the days, right? And then to see our own elected officials that look like us turn on us for money. That motivated me, but it also broke me, right? Because it's like, it's discouraging. You have a political community that is one of the most powerful communities in the state, but the political game is so nasty, you don't even want to be a part of it. Until this year, I had a youth approach me, a Bassett High School student that played basketball, that came to me and told me that the superintendent was not gonna follow through with his agreement with the teams. COVID was slightly coming down, the numbers were reducing, the state had said that the kids can play basketball, right? This particular youth came to me and he broke it down. He was like, basketball is my safety net. Basketball is how I stay out of trouble. Basketball motivates me to actually go to school and to do what I'm supposed to do, because at the end of the day, it gives me an opportunity, a chance to reach one of my goals, which is going to school, getting a scholarship, getting a career. And as he was sitting there, he was telling me why he wanted to play basketball, why it was important that they actually have the opportunity and chance. That motivated me. Last year in 2022, when George Floyd was killed, our youth had stepped up and did a march. That motivated me because they organized. But then we have to take it to the next level because they organized and they marched, but there was no call to action, right? That motivated me. Our youth should motivate us to want to do more. To actually show them, okay, you started this fire, let's take it to the next level.
So it's not so much you, it's maybe just the parents, the adults of the problem.
We have to be a village.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is that I'm big on education. And I feel like our community, if we were more educated, we could actually make some changes. And we would see changes.
Well, I agree with that part because I graduated from Bassett. My daughters graduated from Bassett, and one chose to go on further education. And so now, with all the changes that are taking place, she's raising 3 children, 3 girls on her own. But because of the education piece, she's able to somewhat navigate a little easier. So I'm for the educational piece. My challenge is I see so many of our young, especially our young boys. As a matter of fact, before I came over here today, the young fellow drives up, and I've known him since he was. And as a matter of fact, he came to me when he needed money. He wanted to work make a few dollars.
Mhm.
I allowed him to do it. And the very same evening after I closed, he broke in to the shop. So now he's an adult. And he brought his car in this morning for me to take a look at it just before I came here. That's why I was really late than I anticipated. So, I mean, my point in saying that is, even though he went through what he did, we were able to work through all that craziness and to where he is today. He's a much better youth today than back then. And so many of them are leaving here. It really grieves me, or it burdens my heart, because I know, that was used 4,000 years ago as a means of controlling. So I applaud the effort that you, and anything I can do to help, I'm willing to help you. It won't be much, because I've reached a point where I'm thinking about
Retire. I hear you. Retire.
Because I had a Hispanic fellow that came to me when he was 14. They actually threw him out of the school system. That's how tough he was. And there's some good stories now, but and like you said, these kids are not bad kids. They're just misguided, misdirected parents right there. And my own personal experience, my father and mother were together, but I didn't see my father being there. So I had a little anger in me. So I can imagine when the father's not there at all. But some of these young men, the anger that builds up in them, and so they be acting out of the anger piece, and we're calling them bad kids, but they're simply reacting to hurt. Yeah. So, what I want to say is, if there's anything I can do to help, I'll help. But I go back to the foundational piece, and that's the solid foundation, which is the family. That's where the challenge lies. I think we're fixing the house, but the foundation's falling apart. That's how I'm equating it.
I totally agree. And I think the biggest thing is that once people see that you have leadership that's actually invested, and make it more like a community stuff, have community activities, have family-based events, have resources, communicate what's going on, and actually let the community know that you're here for them, you'll start to see a little bit more change. But that takes time.
It takes time, yeah. And to that end, that's kind of been my objective where I am right now. I mean, I'm not there. It's not about money, because I've been going a long time ago. But it's about helping the community. I remember a young fellow walking by my shop on the way to school one day. And this is years ago. And he says, "You know what? I can set my clock by you." And now I don't know how he was looking at it, but the way I think what he was trying to tell me is, because you're faithful, you're here every day, and because you're here. And so those little things we take for granted. I think they're important in the long term. I rented from the Italian, the guy that owns the building, and when I moved there, they declared him to be a racist. And I'm scratching my head. He's helping me out, but they call him racist. And so how I see it is there's so much misinformation. I equate it this way because I study scripture too. Having ears they can't hear, eyes they can't see. And so that's what you're up against on a large scale. And in the political arena, my mother told me this a long time ago, that I probably kind of shied away from politics. It's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. And they take no prisoners. If they can't kill you physically, they'll politically assassinate you. There's so many vehicles, and so, like I said, I don't mind being a background person in politics.
and I totally appreciate that, and definitely, I totally appreciate that, and the biggest thing is that when I tell people, I'm running by myself, right?
Okay.
But I'm really not running by myself. I have a great partner by my side 24/7 that wakes me up, and that has been with me through this whole process. One person can make a difference, and we've seen that in history. one vote can change a lot of things. We saw that in Georgia last year.
Right.
And now, because of the change that happened, now you have another type of change that's going on across our country. And city by city, state by state, culture, person by person, we're going to get there. It's just going to take time, but we have to start now. Why? We still have that fire going. And I'm gonna take you with that offer because my mentoring program, I'm hoping that we can connect that on a city level and get actual residents, providers, elected officials at the table because it starts at home.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really where I'm coming from. I mean, I think back over my adulthood, you know, the opportunity for me to just go do what I want to do, but you have children, you have a family, and we relegated it so low on the whole skin thing. So now we have these type of conversations because we relegated the most important piece down here instead of elevating it. So anyway, like I said, I'll whatever I can do to help, I'll try to assist outside of but my heart goes out to you. I'll be praying for you, sister.
Thank you.
It's
I'm gonna need that.
yeah. It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
And so with that in mind, I think we are gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
I appreciate it. And we can always have these conversations. You know, we usually do. When I come.
Right. Before I even knew you was in the political career, I guess we were having these type of conversations anyway.
It was setting us up for right now, right? Thank you, Mr. Wade. And I appreciate you taking the time, especially because you are a business owner in this community.
Well, like I said, that is one thing that's one burden I have. I mean, I put it another way. Like when I get upset with a customer, I said, listen, I'm really not about fixing cars, I'm about helping people. So now I find myself sitting here because I put that out front. So I thank you for the opportunity, really.
And I thank you too. I appreciate you.
And so where are you going from here? I mean, you're getting ready for the September.
Actually, Monday is the Democratic Town Convention.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna see who is getting endorsed by our DTC. So I get to see who I'll be running against.
Okay.
Once that comes out, you'll be seeing me and my crew doing some door knocking because I'm gonna petition on and we're gonna have a primary.
Okay. I definitely be praying for you, sis. I'm telling you. The need is definitely there. And, you know, I always put it this way, you know, you take like rubies, diamonds, and gold, they're all require a lot of effort to get where they are.